back, a veteran Democratic senator explained, quote, "The nuclear option is ultimately an example of the arrogance of power. It would transform the Senate from the so-called cooling saucer of our founding fathers talked about to a pure majoritarian body." That was then Senator Joe Biden. He continued, "At its core, the filibuster is not about stopping a nominee or a bill. It's about compromise and moderation." Now, before President Biden abruptly reversed this position he'd held for decades, he was actually in very good company. Senator Robert Byrd of West Virginia, the legendary Senate institutionalist, was this crucial tradition's fiercest defender. The current Democratic leader has tried to invoke Senator Byrd in support of his push to vandalize the Senate. This is more misinformation. Senator Byrd went out of his way to rebut Leader Schumer's arguments years in advance. Here's a direct quote from Senator Byrd. "Proponents of the so-called nuclear option cite several instances in which they inaccurately allege that I blazed a procedural path toward an inappropriate change in Senate rules. They're dead wrong," said Senator Byrd, "dead wrong. They draw analogies where none exist and create cockeyed comparisons that fail to withstand even the slightest intellectual scrutiny," end quote. That's how Senator Byrd felt about it. Down to his final public statements before his death in 2010, Senator Byrd was completely consistent. Quote, "I oppose cloture by a simple majority because it would immediately destroy the uniqueness of this institution. Minority rights would cease to exist in the U.S. Senate," end quote. Senator Byrd shortly before his death. The Democratic leader knew how to serve and protect the Senate. That Democratic leader knew how to serve and protect the Senate. This Democratic leader wants power so badly he'll misrepresent his own late predecessor if it helps him get it. Senator Byrd's successor, the current senior senator for West Virginia, has eloquently restated the very same points. Our colleague, Senator Manchin, published an op-ed explaining why, quote, "There is no circumstance in which I will vote to eliminate or weaken the filibuster." Senator Manchin. He pointed out that finding compromise across party differences and differing regional interests was never supposed to be easy, but it is the work we were elected to do. He noted that current rules guarantee that rural and small states and the Americans who live in them always have a seat at the table. Our colleague also pointed out that the 60-vote threshold keeps federal law durable and predictable. Quote, "If the filibuster is eliminated or budget reconciliation becomes the norm, a new and dangerous precedent will be set to pass sweeping partisan legislation every time there is a change in political control. Our nation may never see stable governing again." This has been a key point for senators on both sides going back generations. In his farewell address before retirement, our former colleague Lamar Alexander put it this way: "The Senate rules exist to, quote, force broad agreements on controversial issues that become laws that most of us will vote for and that a diverse country will accept. In other words, major changes need major buy-in. Otherwise, every policy would ping-pong wildly whenever the gavels change hands." This is a point which our colleague, the senior senator for Arizona, has explained powerfully. As Senator Sinema wrote just a few months ago, the 60-vote threshold compels moderation and helps protect the country from wild swings and radical reversals in federal policy. Sometimes the effect of the filibuster is to block bills outright. Republicans are using the tool to stop one-party election takeovers.